A surgeon stands motionless beside an operating table under a single bright overhead light. Instruments arranged in careful rows on a steel tray beside him. The patient is 27 years old, healthy, conscious. He has agreed to a procedure that has never been performed before. In a matter of hours, he will lose something no one knew could be taken. Not his sight, not his speech, not his ability to move, his ability to remember tomorrow. This channel uncovers real stories buried in history, the ones hidden in classified files, forgotten in medical archives, or too strange to believe. His name was Henry Molaison, and what happened inside that operating room in 1953 changed everything we understood about the human mind. A young man sits in a hospital waiting room under fluorescent lights, hands folded, staring at a blank wall. Henry had suffered from severe epileptic seizures since the age of 10. By his mid-20s, the seizures had become so frequent and so violent that he could no longer function. Medication had failed completely. Every treatment available had been tried. Every option had produced no results. A neurosurgeon reviews an X-ray film mounted on a light board, tracing the outline of a human skull with one finger. His doctor was William Beecher Scoville, a neurosurgeon at Hartford Hospital in Connecticut. Scoville believed the seizures were originating from a specific region deep in the brain called the hippocampus. His proposal was radical: remove it entirely. Both sides. No one had ever attempted this procedure before. A signed consent form sits on a desk under lamplight, a pen placed beside it. Henry agreed. On September 1st, 1953, he was taken into surgery. The procedure lasted several hours inside a sterile operating room filled with the hum of medical equipment. Scoville removed significant portions of both hippocampi, along with surrounding tissue. The seizures were dramatically reduced, but when Henry woke up, something had gone wrong. Not with his movement, not with his speech, not with his personality. Something else, something no one had anticipated. A man sits at a breakfast table in a quiet hospital room, sunlight cutting through Venetian blinds across the floor. Henry could remember everything from before the surgery: his childhood, his parents, his school years, his name. But he could not form a single new memory. Every conversation disappeared the moment it ended. Every face became a stranger within minutes. Every morning, he woke up believing it was still 1953. A nurse walks down a hospital corridor carrying a clipboard, passing the same door she has passed 100 times before. The staff who worked with Henry every day had to reintroduce themselves each morning. To him, they were always strangers. Researchers who spent years studying him were unknown to him every single time they entered the room. He knew he had a memory problem, but he could never remember learning that. A psychologist sits across a wooden table from a patient, notebook open, pen in hand, a recording device between them. Henry became the most studied individual in the history of neuroscience. For over 50 years, researchers at MIT and other institutions conducted thousands of hours of experiments with him. What they discovered reshaped the entire field. Before Henry, scientists believed memory was a single unified system stored throughout the brain. After Henry, they understood it was multiple separate systems. A brain scan illuminates a light board inside a dark laboratory, the outline of the hippocampus highlighted in white. The hippocampus acts as a gateway. Without it, new experiences cannot be transferred from short-term awareness into long-term storage. Henry could still learn certain physical skills through repetition, like tracing a star in a mirror. His hands remembered, even when his mind did not. This revealed a distinction between declarative memory and procedural memory that had never been formally documented before. A hand traces a pattern on paper under a desk lamp, moving carefully, repeating the same motion again and again. Every time Henry performed the star tracing exercise, he improved. But every time he was shown the results, he insisted he had never done it before. His hands knew what his mind refused to record. A researcher sits alone in a dimly lit office surrounded by filing cabinets and stacked notebooks. Henry's case led directly to the development of modern memory theory. It influenced how scientists understand Alzheimer's disease, amnesia, and neurological surgery. Without Henry Molaison, decades of research would have started from the wrong assumptions. He never knew how much he had given the world. He never could. A quiet hospital room holds a single bed near a window, afternoon light falling across the floor in long rectangles. Henry lived in a care facility for most of his adult life. He was calm, cooperative, content, but he lived in a permanent present tense. Every moment was new. Every morning was the same morning. The world continued moving while he remained fixed at a single point in time. He died on December 2, 2008, at the age of 82. After his death, his brain was preserved and sectioned into 2,401 individual slices, each digitally mapped for ongoing research. A microscope sits on a laboratory bench under cold overhead light, a glass slide positioned carefully beneath the lens. Henry Molaison was known to the scientific world only as H.M. during his lifetime. His full name was revealed only after his death. For 55 years, the most important patient in neuroscience history had no public name. Only a case number, only results that changed everything. A dark staircase descends into the lower floors of an old building, emergency lighting casting long shadows across the walls. But if one man's mind could be permanently altered by a single surgical decision, what happens when an entire building becomes defined by the deaths that occur inside it? A hotel lobby stretches under dim chandelier lighting, empty chairs beside dusty tables, a front desk standing unmanned at the far end. In downtown Los Angeles, a building has stood for nearly a century. Thousands of guests have checked in. Many never checked out the way anyone expected. A security camera mounted in a ceiling corner looks down over a narrow hallway, the image grainy and silent. Its name is the Cecil Hotel, and the list of deaths, disappearances, and crimes connected to it reads like something no single building should contain. An elevator door slides open onto an empty corridor, fluorescent lights flickering faintly above the carpet. What happened inside the Cecil Hotel was not the story of one event. It was the story of decades, and a pattern that no one fully understood until it was already too late. Stay with us.